I mean, why Surya was made the captain? Because he's one of the deserving candidates. Yeah. One we know I've been around the group over the last year. You get feedback from the dressing room a lot. He's got a good cricket brain. He's still one of the best T20 batters in the world. One of the main issues, obviously, was you want a captain that's going to or likely to play all the games. I mean, we think he's a deserving candidate, and hopefully we'll see over time how he develops into the role. But as regards to Hardik, I mean, he's still a very important player for us, and that's what we want him to be, that player that he can be, because those sorts of skill sets are very difficult to find what he has. Fitness obviously has been a challenge for him over the last few years, and that then it becomes a little bit more difficult for, say, a coach or even us as selectors when you're trying to. Now we've got a bit more time till the next T20 World Cup where we can look at a few things. It's not rushed at the moment, and we want him to be, as like I said, he's an important player for us, and hopefully his performances are more important, and that was the thought behind it. Yeah, I mean, the fitness is a clear challenge, and we want someone who's likely to be available more often than not. And look, again, after saying all that, we think Surya's got the necessary necessary qualities that you need to succeed as a captain. Yeah, I wasn't there when KL was superseded, so it wasn't me. No, I wasn't selected then, firstly. And I just explained the reasons behind what we're looking at. We've got a little bit more time now since I've come, there's been a 50-over World Cup, almost followed by the T20 World Cup at that point. We've seen, and like I said, the fitness is a concern. Not just that, I mean, we also feel that Surya has the necessary qualities to be a good captain. Hopefully, we see that over time. 2 years is a long time, so at least it gives us a bit more of a chance to try and look at some things differently. And the main thing is we want guys who are available all the time here. And in this way, we also feel we can manage Hardik a little bit better. Because like I said, he's an important player for us. We've seen even in this World Cup, and his performances both with the bat and the ball are important. And that is more important to the team than anything else. Yeah, we speak to every player. Yeah, he's been part of the team anyway. It's not like he's been left out. So, no, we speak to every player. Well, if their roles are changed, and he's been spoken to.
Look, from my point of view, pretty simple. I think important is to give players the freedom. I think that's what I absolutely believe in, and not have a relationship which is of a head coach and a player. For me, the best relationship is a relationship which is built on trust, and that is going to be very important. I can promise guys that I think the most important thing for me is that they will always have my back. And I've always said that a happy dressing room is a winning dressing room, and happy and secure dressing room. So that's my responsibility alongside the entire support staff to make it a happy and a secure dressing room. And that's about it. I think for me, I don't complicate too many things, and neither do I want to complicate, because one thing we need to be clear that I think I'm taking over a very, very successful team. A T20 World Champion, runner-ups in World Test Championship and runner-ups in 50-over World Cup. So it's not that it's not a successful team. So yes, I think it's big shoes to fill, but then looking forward to it. Well, I think I've got a fabulous relationship
with him. With Mr. Chesha, I think we go a long way back, and all these speculations about different things, we've been on different pages. I think we can do a better job from probably clarifying those things rather than putting it in the press, because we go a long way back, and so far I think it's been a great relationship. Hopefully it continues that way, because the betterment of Indian cricket is more important. Gautam Gambhir is not important. I think if all of us have our heart in the right place, and if all of us think that Indian cricket needs to move forward, for that I think all of us are on the same page. So really enjoyed so far working with him, and hopefully I can continue the same in future as well.
I mean, every player who's left out feels hard done by. Our challenge is to pick only 15 to try and get the best balance possible. So someone's likely to miss out. Sometimes they've had some decent performances in recent times, but you've got to see who's picked ahead of them. Are those guys not deserving of their place? If that's the thing, then there is things to discuss. But at this stage, we had an opportunity to give some of those guys, a go in the Zimbabwe series, which was good. So we have enough depth if tomorrow there's loss of form from the players that are playing or there are injuries. But it's tough. Rinku, for no fault of his, missed out from the World Cup. It's an example. He had a terrific T20 leading up to the World Cup. But it's sometimes just the way it goes. Unfortunately for us as well, It's difficult to fit everyone in the 15. And as tough as it is for the player, that's generally a life of a player. That's why when you get an opportunity, you try and put up performances. So as soon as somebody who's ahead of you is not quite up to the mark or there's an injury there, you're ready to pick. And you could take a lot of names. You've taken 3 names, but there are a lot of names. And it's tough on them, but that's just the reality. We can only pick 15. Yeah, I think it would have been really, pointless to take both him and Akshar for this short series. We know what Jaddu's done. He's had a terrific World Cup, 50-over World Cup. So, no, not at all dropped. I think all options are open, but either of them wouldn't have played all 3 games if we'd taken both. That was the thing. There's a big test season coming up where he's likely to feature in a lot of the tests out of that. So, I don't think 3 games would have mattered. I think we probably should have clarified that after the selection that he's not been dropped. He's still within the scheme of things and very important as a player.
That would have always been a challenge because when you take over in all the 3 formats, and more importantly, that after the Sri Lanka tour, we got a long break. We got a month break, and then we've got 10 test matches. I think that's not bad because then you're playing continuously those 10 test matches with the big tour of Australia coming up as well. But then again, I think that is what challenge is all about, and more importantly, really excited about it. And hopefully we can do really well in those 10 test matches. And the chairman has already said it that
where you just decide that someone should be captain or shouldn't be captain. There's obviously a lot of thought goes in. You get a lot of feedback from the dressing room as well. What sort of qualities that you're looking for, and the biggest thing is the captain should be on the park more often than not. That's a prerequisite really, and hopefully Surya does that. And so far there's never been a concern with his T20 batting anyway.
So I think they've shown what they can deliver on the big stage, whether it was the T20 World Cup, in the 50-over World Cup as well. See, one thing I can be very clear of, I think both those guys have got a lot of cricket left in them. And more importantly, with Champions Trophy and a big tour of Australia, obviously they would be motivated enough and then hopefully if they can keep their fitness, 2027 World Cup as well. But this is a very personal decision. I can't say how much cricket is left in them. Ultimately, it's up to them as well. It's up to the players. How much can they contribute in the team's success? Because ultimately, it's the team that is important. But looking at what Virat and Rohit can deliver, I think they still have a lot of cricket, and they're still world-class players. And obviously, any team would want to have both of them for as long as possible.
Yeah, Rishabh's been out for a long time. We need to get him back playing. That's the first thing. He's going to be a key to us as a player. Hasn't had a lot of cricket, so we've seen what he can do in international cricket. He's won Test series almost off his own bat. So we want him back playing. I think that's the first thing. You don't want to burden somebody again who's just coming back after over a year out of the game. KL, KL's not been part of T20 now for a little while. Again, like I said, you look at some of the feedback that you get. We've got a chance to reset the button a little bit. We've got a bit more time to plan. You want to try and see. This time T20, frankly, when Hardik did get injured, was a little bit of a challenge. At that point, Rohit wasn't playing. Rohit was still around, made our life a lot easier that he could come and lead. We don't want that situation going forward again. Shubman's the guy that we feel again as he's a 3-format player, firstly, and seems to show a lot more qualities over the last year or so that we hear from the dressing room. And that's why we want to try and have somebody who can also learn from a couple of the senior guys that are there, Surya in this instance, or Rohit who's still around. So we don't face the same challenges as suddenly trying to look for a captain in case there are injuries or loss of form somewhere. So that's the idea. Again, he's shown some decent leadership qualities, and we want to try and get him the experience that he can going forward. And that's the thought. There are no guarantees in life, but at this point, that's the thought.
Look, I've said it before that workload management for someone like Jasprit Bumrah is important. But for a batter, if they can play
full stint with the Indian team, there can't be a bigger, better opportunity. I think so. Hopefully, we can have a successful tenure as coaches, and really looking forward to working with the rest of the other guys as well. I've had some really good feedback from the players about the other guys as well. So really looking forward to working with most of them. My experience or my learning has been very simple. In a sport, it's all about winning. So I don't deviate from something like that, because we are in a profession where ultimately there can only be one winner. And we try and play fair, we try and play hard, and more importantly, we try and come back in a winning dressing room and a happy dressing room. And a happy dressing room is a winning dressing room. So very simple. See, I think I don't like complicating things. That's the kind of profession I'm in. And hopefully we can continue that way. Ultimately, it's the players' team. Support staff is there to try and maximize and try and get the maximum out of their potential, make them express the way they want to, give them a lot of freedom, and more importantly, try and make them happy as well, because sometimes international cricket can be tough, can be insecure as well, because only 15 can play, but more importantly, it's the job of the support staff to try and keep them in a happy space, and that is going to be one thing which we definitely will be working forward. See, eventually going forward, these things happen. Like, for example, Virat and Rohit and Ravindra is not there in T20. So it will happen. But can't say right now that they're going to be three different teams. I think T20 will obviously go through a transition with three seriously good players, world-class players, retiring from T20 format. But yes, in 50 overs and Test cricket, I'm sure I think the more consistent we can be, the better it is going to be. The more players who can play both the formats, it is always better for any team. So that's my opinion. I think Chairman can give his opinion. That's what I feel.
Yeah, I think it's on the same page, really. I mean, you don't decide having three different teams. If you got players who can play all three formats, then you include them, yeah, because that means they are quality players. So it's just to try and find the best balance for the format that you're playing. Whether that means it's the same players across three formats or different, it's just what works for the team at this point. You can already see, I mean, there are enough players who are good enough to play all three formats, and that's the case. I don't think anything's pre-decided. Eventually, you try and pick the best 15. No, we haven't discussed Surya at this point. In ODI, Shreyas is back, KL is back. They've had great World Cups. Rishabh is back as well. So there is some real quality through that middle order. So no, I think at this point, Surya is a T20 player. I haven't discussed with Gautam yet. This is the first time we've met, so we've had a few conversations. But we will look. It's not always easy, but there will certainly be enough players out of that squad that are likely to play that first game at least, because that's the only game that they can really play, that Duleep Trophy
game. So we'll probably sit down and discuss which guys really need to play, and it's always nice just for the competition as well. If all your top players come and play, it's not always easy with such a packed and a long season, so it's sometimes tough for the players to, if they have a week off somewhere, to make them do that. But we'll try and see what we can do, and there will be certainly some players out of that squad that will be playing.
No, really happy with BCCI. They've agreed to most of the things what I've asked for. So I was surprised when I was reading all those news. But yes, as I just mentioned before, I think the crux of the support staff will remain what it is right now. But then we will finalize once the Sri Lanka tour is over. Yes, Abhishek as assistant coach, Ryan Tendish Kate as assistant coach. I personally feel, I think there could be assistant coaches who can probably involve themselves more in all the three departments rather than just focusing on one. And that is the reason why we now have two assistant coaches as well. And that is the way we're going to go forward as well. But yes, you'll get to know the exact support staff once the Sri Lanka tour is over. And for Sri Lanka, yeah, Abhishek Nair is there, Sairaj Bhattule is there, Dilip is there. And
sorry? No, we shared messages. I think it's not important what we discuss, how many chats have I had with him after my announcement or before my announcement or during the games, after the game. I think sometimes just because we want headlines, it's not important. Right now, the most important thing right now is that we both are going to be working extremely hard to make India proud. And that's our job. He's a thorough professional. He's a world-class athlete. He's a world-class player. I've always said that. I've had huge respect for him as a player. And it's going to continue that way. And hopefully we can work together really well.
I mean, again, like I said, I've met him for the first time. We'll sit down and have a few chats. But you more or less know who your guys are. There are a few injuries at the moment. Some of the guys, some of the fast bowlers are at the NCA. We hope that over the next month or so, they'll be back up playing. Where Shami is at, I think he started to bowl, which is a good sign for us. And it's 19th September is the first test. That was always the goal. If he can, around then, if he can get fit. We don't quite know whether that's the timeline at the moment. I'll have to speak to the guys at the NCA. But that's the aim. But yeah, I mean that is a discussion because there's so many tests coming in India. Maybe you don't play three guys in the 11, three seamers in the 11. But going forward, there's a lot of cricket or test cricket that's coming there. So we'll need some depth. I mean, Bumrah, Siraj, Shami have been around for a while, which are the obvious ones, but we'll need some depth and there'll be some conversations around it. But we've got some talent, and hopefully we've got a lot of first-class cricket coming up. So you can build guys up, and we'll have to get to have a look at some of the other guys as well. So that's a conversation we'll start having now.